What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Legends of Zegen. And it's been a minute, but I'm really excited because we are in the studio again, and I have an amazing person here with me today. I've known Rob for a little while, met him through Local First Arizona, and we just instantly connected. He's such a phenomenal guy, and digging in, getting under the covers a little bit, finding out that he's been up to a lot of really big things in his life, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So please welcome Rob Olivieri. Olivieri.
There we go.
It's not that hard of a name to say either.
There's just a lot of vowels.
And there are a lot of vowels.
There is.
In it.
It's mostly
like,
vowels.
Phonetically, it's
Yes.
like Olivieri. Olivieri. But you just say Olivieri.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, sorry I butchered that.
No,
but we're
you're
gonna
good,
go
you're
with
good.
it because
you're not the
this
first person. You won't be the last.
This is live. Well, it's gonna be pre-recorded, but
Sure.
we're not editing anything out. It's straight, candid conversation.
Love it.
Anyway, welcome to the podcast, Rob. Thank you again for carving out some time. You are a busy guy because you are doing a lot of things. So first and foremost, people always want to know what's so legendary about Rob, and we're going to get into that because everybody's like, I'm not a legend.
Yeah.
And that's what makes, I think, to me, somebody legendary, who's doing big things, not seeking any type of clout. They're just humble human beings. And so yes, Rob, to me, you are a legend because you're living a legendary life, doing things beyond yourself. And so we're going to get into that. But first and foremost, Rob, you've been in Arizona for how long?
A little over a decade.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And currently you're working for ASU.
Yep.
You are director?
Director, yes.
Okay.
Of the Luminosity Lab. It's based out of Tempe. It's a interdisciplinary research and development lab. And we do a lot of cool stuff.
You do a lot of really
Yes.
cool stuff. A lot of research and development stuff, right?
Yeah. So I'll just jump into it.
Yeah.
So so the lab's been around for 10 years. It was initially modeled after Lockheed Martin Skunk Works. So brief kind of story about that. As the story goes, as legend goes, 1942, 1943, the Department of Defense was going to all these contractors. They're like, hey, we need I forget it, but the B-52 bomber, whatever ended up being kind of critical in World War II. And they were going all around, and they were like, this is our budget, this is our timeline. Everyone was like, yeah, you can't do that. And then eventually there was a guy at Lockheed. It was, I believe, Clarence Johnson. And he was the only guy that took him up on the offer, but he said, I got to do it my way. He's like, I'm going to pick the people. We're going to wall them off from kind of the outside noise, the bureaucracy of some of the process. And I'm going to allow them to create and tinker, and we're going to get it done. And then, again, as legend goes, it came in under time, under budget. We won the war. And then that shop... really, World War II, initial Cold War, really was at the forefront of primarily aerospace technology, so stealth planes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's been other examples. Bell Labs is another really good example that I use of that kind of style where it was like a critical mass of just genius and explosion of innovation. It's like Silicon Valley is like all an offshoot of like Bell Labs, and they found or invented the semiconductor, which all of the world runs off of at this point. So folks like that. So in any event, that's what we were modeled after, but it's a little bit different because it's students that are really leading the forefront of identifying problems, coming up with solutions, really going through the prototyping and really kind of creating things, which again is atypical because generally university research is fairly top down and usually faculty. And of course we pull in faculty as needed, or we work with them on specific projects as subject matter experts, or we help them on grants that they're doing over the years. But it's really, it's just a unique place to work, and we've been able to, my team and our founders are no longer, he's moved on to better things, or at least other things.
Yes, okay.
Which is great. And but we've got a really good team, a really good staff. And we've got about 80, 85 students. We pull from
Wow.
20, 25 different majors and programs. So it functions like an independent center. It's not tied to any of the particular schools or colleges. So we've got every sort of engineering student you could think of, design students. We've got business students, law students, the humanities, and
Wow.
kind of pull from all different
Very
places.
diverse
Yeah, and
practices.
in kind of every sense of the word, where
Hmm.
people are, I mean, people from different backgrounds. We have international students, we've got domestic students, we've got students from Arizona, we've got students from other places. We've got kind of runs the gamut on socioeconomic strata.
Wow.
We've got anywhere from freshmen, first semester, well, I guess it'd be second semester freshman now, but that all the way to PhD and pretty much anything in between. And it's
Wow.
vertical and industry agnostic. So it's kind of I mean, one of the ways we describe it, it's like a moonshot factory. So it's like, just if there's a big problem you want to solve, whether it's curing cancer or going to the moon, or maybe Mars is a better example
Yeah.
now,
Now. Yeah.
that
Hmm.
type of stuff. And we've done projects with NASA and built rovers and stuff like that. And then we've done stuff in healthcare and education. We've done stuff in sustainability and supply chain related stuff. We've done a lot more local focused stuff, community based stuff. Yeah, it's a really fun place. I get to work with the brightest young adults. They're not kids; they're young adults,
Hmm.
extremely capable, and just super impressive. Constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly just learning new things. Um,
Wow. That's really cool. And I think that.
it's probably where some of my optimism comes from. You're dealing with these folks that
Like
are,
dreamers almost.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. And it's like, how are we? And I'm sure that certainly plays into my kind of mindset that I bring into a lot of things. Is that there's always every situation there are problems to solve,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the fun part of it. It's the Rubik's cube of it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What I yeah, and again, I love hearing it because we've talked about this before, but it's so neat because you get to be kind of on the forefront of all this neat innovation, and of course, I'm sure some of it works and goes on to be, things that are practical in everyday, life. Some things are very conceptual, but the fact that get to be on the ground floor of
Yeah.
meeting these brilliant minds, these people, helping them overcome some of these challenges, and then of course the administration stuff. Dude, you have a big brain. That's all I gotta
Well,
say.
I mean, they make me look good.
that's
Um,
that's good. And speaking of which,
yeah.
you do look good, man.
I
Showing up
appreciate
with
it.
the jacket,
Thank you.
the nice shirt. You're
Yeah.
you're always you're always yeah, you're always looking good, man.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Now, I do want to touch on the fact that you're also legendary to me because you are now taking a lot of the skills that you've learned
Hmm.
in working with all of these, young minds and just being part of their community, but also you're very integrated in your own community
Hmm.
out in Phoenix. And
Hmm.
so you are running for Phoenix City Council.
Yes, that is
And that's
correct.
also one of the things that I was just fascinated about because
Sure.
I've actually never met anybody in
Oh,
person
really?
that has ever run for any type of office. I don't know. I guess I don't run in those circles. I didn't used to. Now I do.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
but but I find that fascinating. So we'll dig into that as well. But just give me a
Sure.
brief kind of synopsis as to what you're up to with that right
Yeah,
now.
so, well, I mean, I'll backtrack. So
Hmm.
I've live in the Melrose area of Phoenix, Melrose District, kind of midtown, uptown area. I've been I moved there during COVID, got super integrated within the community, and for the last 3, 4 years so I've been on the board for the last 5. I've been the president of the Melrose Community Alliance the last 3 or 4 years, kind of losing track at this point, but I love it. I mean, it's very interesting going from my day job at ASU to dealing with all the stuff in the community, because in some ways it's not all that dissimilar. I mean, you're just dealing with a different set of problems. I mean, in this
Right.
case, it's potholes and permitting and zoning and homelessness and crime reduction, and how do you support small businesses? How do you build communities? Put on events, fundraising, that kind of stuff. And I mean, the through line that I always talk between that and what I do at ASU and really everything, it's really 2 things. It's building relationships and solving problems. And I think that is the most important attributes that have defined me and what I would hope to bring to the city council and really the city of Phoenix. So, I mean, I view that as somewhat of an outgrowth of what I'm already doing. It's connecting with all of these people, and not just within Melrose, because the district itself is pretty big. District 4, kind of central Phoenix, but it goes pretty far west as well. In some
Yeah.
cases, out to 59th Avenue, and talk about diversity. I mean, that's diverse in every sense of the word.
Absolutely.
However you splice it. But you start to connect with other community leaders, neighborhood leaders, small business coalitions, people at the city, and then you start to get a good idea of what folks appreciate that's happening, and maybe some things that they'd like changed, or problems that they're not getting solved. So for me, that's my favorite part, is just being able to connect with people, being able to hear their stories, what they're going through. I tell everyone, like, I don't know everything, and I do not have a monopoly on good ideas. So every opportunity that I have to engage with anyone is an opportunity for me to learn, for me to grow and connect people along the way, hopefully be able to solve problems in the meantime, and kind of help them grow as well. So yeah, that's kind of what led me to this position.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
I think that's a fascinating journey, and I really do want to kind of dissect that journey a little bit because,
Sure.
again, to me, it's so interesting. It's I find it really cool that somebody like you, who is really just committed to, being part of your community in a deeper, more meaningful way, but also being effective in trying to make change and trying to solve
Sure.
problems. Again, we spend so much time, thinking about or complaining about the problems, but nobody's necessarily willing to step up. And we've got a guy here sitting right in front of me who's willing to step up and take on those challenges. So kudos
And there
to
are
you.
plenty of others doing really good things. I don't want to
Bro,
make it
this
seem
is
like I'm
about
the only
you,
one. Yeah,
okay?
no, I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
but that's, again,
Yeah,
another
yeah.
quality that makes you legendary, is that you are humble, and you don't take credit for things. You because you're a director of this, Luminosity Lab and stuff. You're building a team, and you are a team player, and that's true to what you just said, right? It's not just me. There's other people out there doing it. But to that point, I want to understand a little bit. Like I said, I want to dissect. So let's
Okay.
go back, okay? We've got kind of some of the highlights as to what I believe
Sure.
is what makes Rob legendary and what he's doing today. But it had to start somewhere. So let's start somewhere and let's go back, all right? Let's go to the origin story of Rob. So give us a little background on where you grew up and what that's like, and then I'm just gonna throw
Sure.
some questions at you. But let's take that
Yeah,
journey.
so I grew up in New Jersey.
Jersey boy.
Yeah, right outside of New York City. It's actually like right across from Staten Island.
Yeah.
So I would consider it like Central Jersey. There's always like a tiff of if there is a Central Jersey. That's not a real
Okay.
conversation. But
Okay.
yeah, so grew up in a suburb of New York City, kind of in that bubble, but pretty tight knit community. And I think, and maybe this was more subconscious, and I think I certainly have realized it more over the years looking back, that my family was pretty involved, and I had a fairly sizable extended family there, cousins, aunts,
Sure.
uncles, that kind of stuff, grandparents that had been in the town for a little while. So it was very rare that I'd go somewhere that somebody didn't know, oh, you're so and so's son or brother or cousin or whatever.
Yeah.
Which used to piss me off when I was there, if I'm being honest.
Really?
But yeah, well, I think it was like, oh, like I'm Rob, like I'm
No,
a
but
person
I'm
too.
an individual,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
part of this.
So,
Yeah.
but I have certainly learned to grow and appreciate that a lot.
Okay.
Um,
That's good.
but yeah, so grew up in New Jersey. I was telling you before we started recording, like I was so I was the youngest of three boys. So I've got two older brothers, and then even kind of my cousins, everyone was older. So I was always kind of the younger one. But I was fortunate that, like, whether it was my brothers or my cousins, like, they didn't mind having me around. So I was able to kind of like pal around with them at like super young ages and be exposed to them as they were going through some of these life milestones of being teenagers and going through high school and playing high school sports and then going to college and then do whatever else they were going to do. So it was, again, in hindsight, it certainly was really interesting to kind of observe all that and have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think one thing that also did is it almost like messed up with my like peer, like with living in the present kind of stuff, because I was always seeing them go do these things, and
You
then,
wanted to go do those
yeah,
things.
and it's like, oh well, yeah, I want to do it, but it's like, okay,
No, you're too young.
yeah,
you always
yeah,
hated that
we're like,
element
oh,
of
you gotta
like
do this,
you're
you
not
gotta
old
do that.
enough to do
Yeah,
that
so,
thing. Okay.
yeah, I think that certainly it had played a role, but yeah, it's I come from a Italian Irish kind of Catholic family, so everybody loves hard and cares about each other and those around them. So that certainly, from my grandparents to parents down, certainly had been stamped in me, and something that I certainly take forward with me in pretty much everything I do.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that definitely helps me understand you a little bit more as to kind of what's important to you, and also I think we all have this semblance of who we are based on where we came from,
Yeah.
right? And so I think, you coming from Jersey, and I would say you didn't obviously, well, maybe you did. I don't know. Was living in Jersey like challenging? I mean, I've seen the movies and stuff, right? But I mean, what's growing up? Like you're out in the street playing ball, or like
Yeah, it was
what
fun.
did you do?
I mean, I'll say the one thing I do miss is having like 3 really good pizzerias to walk to. I do
Yeah, sure.
I do miss that.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. So
And what's
but it was great. It was kind of traditional, kind of suburbia. I will point out something else that, again, I didn't recognize it at the time, but like I grew up in an extremely diverse setting, like people from all walks of life, and it was just normal.
Yeah.
So I think that was another thing that I was always kind of like, you're in the melting pot,
Yeah.
basically. So it's basically anyone, like once you get out of New York and however you got there, and usually you get in New Jersey.
Yeah. Were you studious like as a kid? Like were
No,
you
I
book
hated
smart?
school.
Were you more of a street kid? Well, like what were you like as
No,
a youth?
I mean sports was big growing up.
Okay.
I was always okay in school. I didn't love it. I wouldn't say it was the best, but I always loved learning.
Yeah.
And so for me, I would always like. I actually in high school I remember a few times where I would like bring in my own book, like didn't cause a fuss, but would just read my own thing while they're going over whatever.
Okay.
That pissed off a couple of teachers.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So you were kind of a little bit of a jock because you were into sports,
Yeah.
but you were also kind of a nerd in that you like to read
Yeah,
books.
I think it's kind of, yeah, it's like the duality of kind of paradoxical. I mean, even to this day, like I love reading. I'm usually always like reading a book and then also have an audiobook.
Yeah.
And then I'm always kind of consuming information, whether it's podcasts or videos or just trying to learn. But I mean, I love like going to the gym and working out
Yeah.
and doing stuff more kind of hands-on. So
Well-rounded. That's what Rob is. He's very well-rounded.
I
Like you
guess.
don't necessarily lean one direction or the other. You're a really well-rounded guy, which I think is great. And even to this day, right? Like you still I think carry that on. So that's also it makes sense.
I
Now,
appreciate that. Yeah.
what were you let's see. So, high school, college,
Yep.
were you still as committed to being, into your education? Did you not want to go to like college? Like what was that?
I
What
I
was that
always
decision for you?
knew I would. I mean, that was something that my parents really, they're like, you're gonna go to college,
Okay.
and so both my brothers had gone, so it was kind of a
Expectation?
yeah. It wasn't not an option.
Yeah.
I will say I didn't. I probably could have given it a little bit more look. Having like worked at a university, now I'm like, okay, yeah, there's probably some more things I could have tried or figured out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I ended up going to a small liberal arts Catholic school in New York. It's called Iona. It was Iona College now it's Iona University, just
Okay.
north of the city.
Okay.
Because I wanted because growing up, I mean, you're around New York. It's like that's it. That's the center of the universe.
Yeah.
And then my parents were like, yeah, not like in the city, because there's a lot going on. A lot of times you got to like get off campus housing after a couple of years,
Sure.
and it's like those are not cheap rents.
Yeah.
So they're like, find something a little
More affordable.
yeah, or just reasonable.
Yes.
And ended up working out like perfectly.
Cool.
So-
What did you study specifically?
Yeah, so I did my undergrad in political science. My plan was to go to law school. That was kind of like the idea. After I graduated, and I'll get back to that, but kind of one of the defining moment, or the defining kind of piece of my college experience was actually my fraternity. So again, fairly small school. There was a group that wanted to start a new chapter of this national organization, and again, it was never on my radar. Wasn't anything that I intended to go. I mean, if you're going to do that, go to one of these big state schools where
Sure.
you could actually have the experience. And I remember being approached, because at the time I think they just needed like bodies,
Rob will do it.
and my dad was like, and he had been in a separate fraternity. I remember him saying specifically, he was like seems like a pretty good idea. Like at a minimum, it'll look good on a resume. You'll probably meet some good friends, and I mean, maybe you'll have some buddies to go out with.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed kind of like a no-brainer, but I always, especially when I was like more involved, there was always a reason why I joined, which was that. And then there was a reason why I stayed, and it was kind of that leadership, servant leadership, that growth. We were literally starting. You're starting a business. You've got to do all this stuff. You've got to put together a budget. You have to sell both. You need to recruit people. You need to market yourself to other groups, to the school, to the national organization. You've got to make sure people are doing what they need to do.
Yeah.
There's reports you got to do. So for me, that experience was very formative and very hands-on. I understand that that's not ubiquitous and universal for everyone's experience. But for me, it was extremely transformational, because it really was. I mean, outside of kind of growing up in sports and some stuff like that was the first chance where it was like, it's like, yeah, you're like, you need to lead this.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that aspect. And still to this day, I mean, my like best friend for life was somebody that we basically built this thing together.
Oh, that's really
and
cool.
then so we were very involved, and then ended up getting recruited by the national office to go work for the fraternity. So that brought us down to Charlotte. So this gets me back to the law school thing.
Yeah.
So so when you're working for the national organization with the fraternity, again, you're not like throwing parties. You're like making sure the ships are running and the trains are on time and people are paying their bills. So it was a really formative experience, because you're seeing a lot of the country by like car in some cases.
Oh, wow. So you're visiting all of these different fraternities.
Yeah, it's all over.
At the different universities and stuff. Okay.
And for somebody who primarily had spent a lot of their time in the Northeast, coincidentally, that was where a lot of my schools were, from kind of that Virginia up to Maine and a little bit west from there. So those were a lot of my chapters, but I got to spend, I don't know, I think it was like 6 months in Maine. I got to start our chapter in there. Same thing at the University of Buffalo. Got to really travel around. And I remember one of the older alumni who he had done that 20 years before. He was like, hey, like, you're going to get a PhD in psychology doing this. You meet every type of person.
Sure.
And it's true. And I think that it certainly piqued my interest in people. I've always been interested in people's stories, what they're interested in, what they want to do, what they're passionate about, what they care about. So in that regard, it was great. And then, so did that for a bit. And then I was our director of alumni engagement, kind of my second year there.
Okay.
So I got to work with adults. But it was still a really good experience and really good first thing to do out of school. And then I remember to kind of put a bow on the law school thing, I remember just like picking up an LSAT book and just having some epiphany, like, I don't actually really want to do this. Like it's it's a lot of money, it's a lot of time
Yeah.
and effort, and it just seemed like it didn't align really with what I wanted to do. So, yeah. So then I didn't really know what to do.
So you had this like this path of like convergence, right? A fork in the
Sure.
road
Yeah.
of law school and this future.
Yeah.
And who knows, right? In an alternate universe, we've got, Rob as a, powerful attorney somewhere in the US, and but this is cool though, because you made a conscious choice to take this career that was a really great career and go a different direction that you didn't necessarily know where it was
Yeah, I didn't
going
know
to
what the
head.
next step was. I mean, obviously, I was not going to go work for the fraternity forever.
Sure.
Great, and I still have a lot of good relationships, and was able to get a ton of really good connections. That actually is how I ultimately got to ASU, was a fraternity connection.
Interesting. And can you share what the fraternity was?
Yeah, so it's Pi Kappa Phi.
Pi Kappa Phi.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Um,
Shout out to any
yeah,
Pi Kappa Phi folks out there.
Pi Cap.
Okay, so and how long were you in that role?
Yeah, so I was in Charlotte for 2 years working for the
Okay, and that's the headquarters or
yeah,
whatever. Got it. Okay.
So, and I mean it's a pretty, I mean, professional staff. There's probably 40, 50 people there.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got the fraternity side. They've got a properties kind of department focused on some of the housing. There's the foundation side, and then there's a philanthropy that they started, own, and operate. So all of that kind of in one building. They're at a new headquarters that I actually have not been to Charlotte in a hot minute, but I'll have to check that out.
It'd be fun to go back. Yeah, a little bit.
But yeah, that got me a lot of exposure to like the South and the Deep South. Got to see some things that was totally different, and I didn't necessarily fit in there. I mean, Italian from Jersey. I've got tattoos, which you can't see here.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's a little bit different.
Sure.
A little bit of a culture shock.
Well, and a couple of things here that I want to call out. One is that you grew up on the East Coast, and from my experience, a lot of people on that side of the nation are great, and they're very like go hard, go fast, very high strung. I don't know any other way to put it, but you're very mellow.
Yeah. So when I was in New York, it wasn't that long after that I realized, okay, maybe this ain't my I love New York.
Yeah.
It's a great place to visit. But it's overstimulating, and it's not for everyone. It's for a lot of people, but it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have always been a little bit more kind of laid back, reserved, and it was just kind of my, I don't know, personality.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
Okay. The second thing I wanted to touch on quickly is growing up. Did you travel much as a child, or as a teenager, whatever, like internationally, nationally? Because you had talked about getting a lot of windshield time, traveling for this fraternity gig. But was this all new to you as far as traveling, meeting new people, or was that kind of part of your upbringing as well? The traveling part, getting
so
out.
we traveled a bit in family vacation. So my dad, for work, he would have to go to. He was like the head of marketing for an international. They were based out of French, so for North America, he did their marketing, and it was. He did like window treatments, like awnings or shutters. So like Florida was a big base for like hurricanes, so protection, all that stuff. So he would always have to go to trade shows down there. So we do we go to Disney a ton, kind of around Florida, all that stuff.
Cool.
And then honestly, a lot of the traveling was tagged on to like mine or like my brother's like basketball tournaments. I got to do a lot of that stuff all around.
Okay.
But yeah, we didn't do much international travel growing up. I think we went on a cruise once.
Okay.
I've had some family in California and kind of some other places, so we'd gone there. And,
okay.
Midwest area,
Got it.
But not a ton of travel.
Sure. I mean, it's still probably more than most
certainly
anyway.
More than most, yeah.
But I'm just curious as understanding a little bit more about, your life and your experiences, and just understanding, kind of what you've seen, what you've done, and you've definitely done a lot, right? And just getting exposure, like you said, to the Deep South, to New York, the city, and even the suburbs, and all the things. But It's cool that in all of that, I think that also kind of helped, continue to mold you as again a well-rounded person who's gotten to meet so many different people from different walks of life, which is super rad.
Yeah.
Now you're here in Arizona.
Yeah.
Like, what you said you got brought out here because of, or you made a connection through the university?
Yeah, but so
or the,
so that wasn't what
fraternity?
brought me out. So kind of the long story short, my oldest brother, he married a girl who grew up in Phoenix.
Okay.
And this is 15, 18, whatever years ago, losing track of time.
Yeah.
And ironically, she grew up like around the corner from where I live right now. Went to Central High, like all
Oh,
that.
wow.
Yeah, which is like which I didn't know until like a few years ago.
Huh.
But they were on the East Coast at the time, and then they moved out here, and then they started having kids. So my parents obviously wanted to come out there. They were kind of over the snow as I always was. I was never a cold weather person. That was probably something I should have paid attention to at a younger age. I had to start looking. Yeah, so if Phoenix doesn't work, I have to go to an island.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So yeah, they started doing that. I remember doing the cross country trip with my brother Matt. They were in Baltimore at the time.
Okay.
And then, so we got to, again, and this is while I was still in college. So I got to see everything. And I just remember, like, the sun, the palm trees, all of that stuff, the mountains, just so beautiful. And it's really fun whenever you, like, if you've ever done it or if you ever do, drive across country, you could literally see, like, the topography and the geography of where you are change, which is, like, pretty trippy.
It is mind-blowing. It is,
which
really.
is pretty cool. So, yeah, so I've always liked Phoenix. I always liked Arizona, and just went to Charlotte first, and then I always kind of knew, especially after my family started moving out here, kind of made sense. And I never. This is something that I tell people more so now because I wasn't able to articulate it then, but I think one of the things that drew me to Phoenix specifically, that I talk about a lot now is, so when you go to like New York or Chicago, LA, like any one of these big cities, it has a tendency to kind of impose its will on you. Like you become a New Yorker, you become a Chicagoan,
There's a way of being or a way of life.
Like that is what it is. Which again, not saying that's right or wrong. And I mean, in some cases, literally these places have been around a lot longer, so there's just kind of like entrenched things.
Yeah, right.
Whereas Arizona, Phoenix, like there's still opportunity to shape the environment around you.
Yeah.
Which again, in hindsight, certainly was one of the draws for me, and that's one of the things that I think is really the charm of Phoenix and Arizona, that you can do it. It still kind of has some of that, I don't know, the Wild West charm and all of that.
I like that.
So yeah, that's kind of how I ended up here. But I actually, so in between the fraternity and coming out here, I got like super into like health and wellness. Part of that's from some like younger like health issues that I had growing up.
Okay.
And I mean basic, that like, oh, you clean up your diet, you start exercising like more, like you do this, you start meditating. Oh yeah, you start to get like
get
impact.
in tune with the temple of this body. Okay.
Yeah. So so that was really cool, and then I ended up getting like certified as like a personal trainer and a nutritional health coach. Okay. Yeah, I never ended up doing anything with it, like. Because eventually, when I moved out here, I got connected with the founder of a company, and he's an MD, PhD. He started a health tech company, so just kind of right place, right time. Oh, yeah. Ended up just connecting with him, and he was like, "Yeah, I need some help." And I was like, "I'm in. Let's do it." So yeah, I ended up doing that for, it felt like so much longer. It was probably 18 months, maybe 2 years.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you work for a startup, but it is, I mean, you run the gamut of emotions and everything. One day everyone's going to be a millionaire. The next one, it's like,
we might be
I
closing
getting paid
in a
this
week?
Yeah,
like,
right. But it was a really formative experience.
Okay.
I mean, first time kind of really being in like private sector. You're running a business, trying to start a business, do all that stuff. So in any event, that was a really good, not only learning experience, but just kind of, again, a growth opportunity.
Yeah.
Things that I don't have a technical background. I focus on the operations even with that.
Yeah.
But you start to get exposed to things. And then, yeah, so kind of parallel track, No, Mark Knopfel, I will give him a shout out. He's a
Nice.
founder and executive director of the Luminosity Lab. He's now the president of the University of Silicon Valley
Oh,
out
wow.
in the Bay Area.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I had connected with him when I was at the fraternity. He was here at ASU. He's homegrown kid, and I think I was giving him an award or something. It was like a 30 under 30 thing, and he was the student region for ASU. So he was on the board of regents, so that it's a pretty big accomplishment.
Yeah.
And then he got kind of tapped to start this lab. So we're basically the same age, a lot of same interests, so we kind of connected and hit it off. And then I had stayed in touch after I'd moved here, but never really had gotten together. And then I remember getting lunch with him one day, and it was right as the Luminosity Lab was kind of coming out of stealth mode, and it's like, yeah, we're looking to. He had phrased it like, "Do you know anyone who would be interested?" And at the time, it was not the best time for the startup. So I was like, well, actually, let
I do
me,
know somebody.
yeah, let me learn more about this.
It's this guy. Yeah.
So ended up working out. He ended up bringing myself, Tyler, who's still there with me, Tyler Smith, and then another gentleman to kind of really start to scale the lab. So yeah, I've been there for the last 8 years basically. It'll be 8 years in June, July, somewhere around there.
That's wild.
Yeah, and then since I was at ASU, I've gotten a master's in science and technology policy. So kind of the intersection of emerging technology and public policy, which is very relevant to, well, in some ways even more relevant now than it was then with
Sure.
advent of AI and all that kind of stuff.
Surprising, yeah, how it has evolved, and now you're really in like a cutting edge space. Which, I mean, at the time when you joined it, definitely cutting edge, but like you said, more stealth mode, and now it's like, hey,
yeah, these things happen quick.
Yes,
very quick.
Well, especially with startups too.
Yeah,
Things, like you said, just move and pivot so quickly. But it's interesting. Do you feel like when you started at Luminosity Lab, Labs or Lab? Lab. Yeah. So was it like this was the first time for you where you felt like you might have actually had a path? Like, because from what I'm hearing, at least you kind of just went with the wind a little bit. I'm just like, hey, like this sounds like it could be cool, and I'll probably make some money doing this. But now with Luminosity, was this the first time where you felt like, hey, I have a direction, or not even at that point?
No, I mean, honestly, I didn't necessarily, when I started, expect it to be there for this long. So kind of just appeared. I don't know. Life has a funny way of unfolding the way that it should.
Yeah. Well, and it's cool too, because I think a lot of people try to plan out their lives, and from what I'm getting from you probably do have plans and make plans, but you also seem to pivot very easily and just go with the flow and go the direction that maybe the universe or fate or whatever is trying to point you in. But is that a fair assessment of you, or are you a planner?
I mean, part of it. No, I certainly am, and when I was younger, there was certainly plans and
go to the MBA or something.
Yeah.
Of course, we all were.
I'm missing about half a foot in height, but yeah, certainly had plans. I remember my mom used to have this saying, like, yeah, it's good to plan, but you know what happens when you make plans? God laughs. And I think that fluidity and kind of that adaptability, I at this point, I don't know if that was like innate or just something that I kind of learned on the fly, but I know. And it's also interesting because you can never connect the dots until you're looking backwards.
Right.
I think that was a Steve Jobs thing where like nothing makes sense in the moment. They're all just individual data points. When you look back, then you could start to see some of these through lines. And I've become a very firm believer that if you're doing the right things, you're showing up, you're doing what you got to do, like opportunities are going to find you rather than the other way around.
I like that.
And it could be one of those things where all advice is autobiographical. So that's just what has happened to me. So that's what I'm preaching out to people. But that I do believe that is the case.
That's a good message, though.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to live your life, and certainly we all have plans and we all have things that we want to do,
Yeah.
but then, yeah, life has a different direction to take you in. But
Yeah.
you've been at Luminosity for 8 years. What do you enjoy about this work now versus maybe when you started? What's changed for you in
Yeah, I
that eight
think
years?
I mean we've matured. We've gotten a lot more. We've had a lot more wins than over the years than when we started.
Hmm.
I think. I mean, this was a tough time for everyone, but during COVID, it actually was kind of a moment for us to shine. So and I've got to give credit to the team because I was not building a lot of this, but our group was able to stand up kind of a decentralized PPE crowdsourcing network that the state and a lot of the hospitals use.
Oh, wow.
So if you could bring back to March, April of 2020. So it was basically connecting a platform that would connect people with 3D printers who could do face shields or
Hmm.
masks or something like that with doctors' offices, healthcare providers, hospitals with needs, or they could put in a request. We need 500 by Friday, and then see what the network can do.
Wow.
So that was really cool. We had a group that actually came up with so X Prize, are you familiar with X Prize? They
Mm-mm.
do like these competitions and calls. So they did like usually they're over years, but this one they did for COVID specifically. They wanted to look for like a next generation mask and like an innovative approach to it. So we had a group of students, again, super talented, obviously, come up with an idea that you and I would appreciate because, like, if you could think back then with glasses, you'd always get them fogged up.
Yeah.
So they had
Hmm.
like a bifurcated chamber, so it was able to filter and not fog up your glasses.
Oh,
So
wow.
on a selfish note, that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so they ended up winning the global prize for that
That's
year.
so, wow.
And then
That's really
about a year
cool.
after that, we had a group of, at the time they were freshman girls, come up with an ed tech kind of note taking platform.
Okay.
Entered into Red Bull's. They did this like collegiate, they call it basement challenge, and then they ended up winning for the U.S. And then they went to Turkey to compete against 41 other country winners and ended up winning that.
Oh,
So it was like,
wow.
and those two were like back to back. So it was kind of big wins, and then we ended up getting recognized by Governor Hobbs and the AZ Tech Council a couple of years ago as the most innovative program in the state. So we had a pretty good track record of some pretty solid wins, but it's a lot of years, a lot of hard work, and I mean a lot of people were a part of that.
Yeah.
But I think it's a testament to the culture that we were able to build there to be able to do all these things.
That's really
And we've
neat.
had spin out companies and patents and people do some really amazing things.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And do you end up having to be like, like NDA'd during some of the processes of
Sure.
these? And
Yeah.
so there's probably things that are happening right now that are pretty groundbreaking and
Yes.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've got that. I mean, we've over the years, our model has kind of ebbed and flowed a little bit in terms of like what we're working on. We're starting to get a little bit more into it now, but we did pause a little bit with some of the corporate engagement that we were doing, just to kind of right size what
Mm.
our students were focused on. But we've worked with, I mean, pretty big companies on projects or troubleshooting problems or coming up with innovative things that they could use internally. On kind of a domestic and an international level, we've worked with universities across the U.S. and international as well on a variety of different things. Um, and then more locally, we've done some work with some companies here. So Axon, we've done some security stuff,
Mm-hmm.
more so for event security. With them and campus security work we've done with Phoenix Children's Hospital. We had a team that put together essentially they revamped their EEG, so like the vitals
Mm-hmm.
cart, because they would use any like what you would get in any normal banner. Which on its face makes a lot of sense, and that's what you do. But when your clients or your patients or kids, it's intimidating to begin with. A lot of wires, a lot of noises. So they wanted something that was a little bit more novel and a little bit more user friendly for the kids.
That's
So they've
cool.
got those in Phoenix Children's Hospital. We've done some stuff with the city of Tempe. We've done some stuff with the city of Phoenix as well. So yeah, we do a lot. We do a lot of K through 12 like STEM outreach too.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So many things about this work that you're doing, which is just it's cool because it's innovation, it's technology, it's solving some problems that obviously we don't necessarily even think about, but I mean, it's really cool. I do want to ask you, and I'm not gonna hold your feet to the fire here, but I want to get your take on artificial intelligence
Sure.
and what are your thoughts on it? And I'm really leaving it very broad, but
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's fascinating,
mm-hmm,
a little terrifying,
sure,
but I mean, I think any new technology is can be very scary. Unknowns are always scary.
yeah,
It doesn't mean we shouldn't try to put some guardrails. I think it's extremely challenging because of the pace of where it moves. It's hard to come up with a regulatory regime that actually is coherent, and you're not like 8 months behind the ball,
yeah,
and just we don't have the mechanisms to do that. Now that being said, I think there does need to be a lot more openness, collaboration, both like with companies and firms within the U.S. And then obviously internationally, that's a whole nother beast. But there's a lot of unknowns, but I think the capabilities and the power and the potential of it is immense. I mean, it's hard to overstate the potential changes that can happen. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see. I think, and not from a point of just let it be, but I mean, there's direction, there's things, um, agentic AI. So basically, an AI agent,
mm-hmm,
assistant, or whatever.
mm-hmm,
That seems to be the kind of the biggest thing at the moment.
yeah.
I mean, we've had one of the spinouts that we had with the lab was the AI, essentially an agentic education tool.
Oh, cool.
It's called Axio.
For educators or for students or
So it was
faculty?
initially focused on kind of anyone can use it. It's based off of this technology in a book by Neil Stevenson, what is it, Diamond Age. So the Young Illustrated Primer. I don't know. Do you know who Neil Stevenson
No, I
is?
don't.
He's a cyberpunk,
Oh yeah,
pretty
okay.
prolific writer.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote Snow Crash, which I think that was the first time the term metaverse was used, was in that book.
Oh, no kidding.
So, but in any event, so in this book, Diamond Age, uh, without giving the plot away, there was this very advanced tool that this young lady or girl, she was like 5 or 6, got, and it essentially was a book, a physical book, but it would like bind to you. So there's some like nanobot technology that
Okay.
would kind of like know that it was you, but it would teach you how you like to be taught. Like it would basically be like, okay, you learn best this way. We're gonna tell the story like this, or like we're gonna incorporate your stuffed animals into this story so that you have a little bit more familiarity with it. So
Oh,
that kind of stuff.
fascinating.
That's
Mm-hmm.
very
Mm-hmm.
base level. But so the idea that you're gonna have something that's personalized and individualized to you was kind of the genesis of it. Um, a lot of the focus now was and it's still, I mean, Axio exists. It's outside of Luminosity, so I'm not fully in tune of what they're focused on and all that. But I know a lot of it is um, focused on like integrating with learning management systems,
Oh yeah. Okay.
LMSs. So higher education is kind of an off ramp, or a logical on ramp for that. It gets a little tricky when you're like with kids, so under 18, just because it is so new and all of that
We
stuff.
don't know what
So
we don't know yet.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that goes to the AI thing, and I mean obviously there. I mean part of the more of the concerns are like, I mean, you can edit a video or a photo, and it's like, wow, that looks really real,
Mm-hmm.
or nobody will
Deep
know.
fake stuff all the time. Yeah.
All of that, I think that is what scares me more than anything,
Yeah.
because that could stir a whole lot of stuff up.
Agreed.
So
Yeah.
figuring out how do you, I mean, is there ways we could embed kind of whether it's blockchain technology or something where you can like, oh no, this is verifiable, or
Track
word
these
mark,
things. Yeah.
yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's gonna be super interesting, and a lot goes into it. I think it will. I think it has the potential to be a really big net positive. But there's a lot of potential pitfalls. So
Sure.
but I think it's important to have these conversations and to talk through it because this thing is being built in real time. I think a lot of people learned a lot of lessons from social media
Yes.
and all of that. So um, hopefully we could pick that and kind of cater
Make some
towards these.
decisions based on our
Yeah,
experiences thus
yeah.
far.
I,
Yeah.
I will say I don't really see a scenario where like you put that back in Pandora's box.
Right.
Like I think it for better or worse it's here
Yeah.
in some capacity. So how do you lean into that? How do you get the benefits? How do you make sure it's equitably dispersed, democratized, people have access to it? Because it has the potential to, I mean, if it's done right, I mean, it can, I mean, free up anyone from, I mean, rural or any inner city America or middle of nowhere, pick your random country on a map to be able to have access to the tools to be able to build things, to be able to solve problems locally, to be able to build a business, to have access to a global marketplace that way. So I do think there's a lot of potentials, but I mean, with it comes some serious tail risks.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's it definitely is balance, right? Like everything in
Yeah.
life, right? Like yeah, there's amazing things about
Yeah.
whatever it is, and there's awful things,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the tightrope we definitely have to walk. But in your opinion, AI is not going anywhere. It's not a fad.
I don't see how it does.
Mm-hmm.
There's just too much. I mean, there's too many vested interests, a lot of money behind it,
Yeah.
a lot of, I mean, even like national security, like apparatus, like put to it, and like to a point where like if we don't do it, someone else might do it.
Right. Right.
So you can't. Excuse me. Yeah, there's so many layers to it.
Yeah.
I can't foresee a scenario now where again you put that back in Pandora's
Yeah.
box.
It's it's already been opened, and yeah, there's no
Yeah.
way. It's so big now. We
Yeah.
can't put
What
it
do
back
you think
in.
about it?
I'm here for it.
Okay.
I'm of the generation that I thought we would have flying cars by now. So the fact that we have self-driving vehicles, I'm into it. I think that I'm a student of technology for
Hmm.
sure. So I like it. But to your point, there is so much dichotomy between the good applications and the
Yeah.
bad applications, and I'm hopeful that we can get our arms around it before
Yeah.
it becomes a problem. And of course, growing up with Terminator movies and
Yeah.
all the negative things behind
Sure.
why AI could be the detriment of humanity, but I like to think positive, like you, right?
Yeah.
Optimism and thinking that, hey, we've got these tools that we can use to change lives in a meaningful way. I'm here
Well,
for
yeah.
it.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I mean, optimism is good, but that doesn't mean that you're like, oh, everything's great, everything's great, everything's
Right,
great. It's like,
right.
no, you can still have a positive outlook
Hmm.
by addressing and
Cautious.
identifying what the issues are, and then start working on
Yes.
it. Yeah, and then you mentioned self-driving cars. I am always struck. I had a cousin in town a few weeks ago, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you guys like the Waymos," and I'm like, "Oh yeah." Like I don't know. I've been so exposed to it. It's just
Forget
so
about it. Yes.
normal.
Hmm.
And he was like, "Wow, like have you ever been in one?" I was like, "Yeah." Like it's cool the first time, but
Yeah.
no, but I think that type of stuff, and with any sort of technology, exposure is so powerful.
Yes.
And I mean, human beings do have a enormous capacity for adaptability,
Right.
for better or worse. I mean, can you imagine going to somebody in the 1970s and pulling out your phone? Would have thought you were like a wizard.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible what, at least in our lives, what we've gotten to see.
Yeah.
And I think about my grandparents who lived through world wars and the stock
Yeah.
market crash and all these
Sure.
things. Like, it's neat that every generation has their, impactful ups and downs, and I think that we're definitely on some crazy trajectory right now,
Yeah.
and I'm along for the ride.
Well, me too. And the one thing I will say, and actually dealing with a lot more technology kind of forward things, I've become so much more a proponent of bringing people together. Like
Yes.
technology, I mean, that was the original promise of Silicon Valley. Like, we're going to build all these tools so you could just interact with each other out
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And then it kind of went down a different path where everything just kept being personalized and personalized. So, like, instead of going to an arcade and playing video games with your friends, you now are in the home. And then now you're just like playing by yourself and then you're online. So it's like, how do we leverage these tools to be able to improve the quality of life and help elevate more people, but that is not at the cost of being together. That should enable and empower us to be able to build community that way,
I like that.
and getting more and more people together.
I like that. Oh man, perfect segue because
Yeah,
I really want to talk about where you're at today, not at Luminosity, but in now this run for
sure.
Phoenix Council
Mhm.
and talking about community and the driver there. So again, this is also something that's really fascinating to me
Yeah.
is just this process of running for a political office. And
Sure.
so again, was this ever something that you imagined you'd
Yeah, I
do?
think I mean I was always interested. When I was younger, I had like interned for my assemblyman and congressman at the time. I
Oh,
didn't really know
cool.
what I was doing. I think I knocked doors for the mayor in the town. My
Okay.
dad knew him. So, oh yeah, I just set this up. So I think as I mentioned, I read a lot when I was younger. So I started off reading like biographies of athletes and all of that, and that was really cool. And then I always loved history and all of that. So you start to read all these stories and about all these people throughout history, all these amazing men and women that have done things. And I mean, inevitably, people are doing this all across different fields.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was always a thing. Especially when I decided like not to do law school and kind of went on this meandering path. It wasn't like this was not like a planned thing, and just kind of happened. But I think so to kind of tie a bow onto like all of my experiences throughout life. Again, it only makes sense looking back, but there's two major through lines that I really see, which is it's all about building relationships, anything that I've ever done, and solving problems.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing, especially at a local level. How do we bring people together, and how do we just get stuff done for people?
Sure.
And I think not again. I think what also drew me to like a local level versus anything else, and this is in no way, shape, or form to minimize what happens at another level or say that that's not important because it is. Um, but that idea of hey, we're doing stuff. We're building a city together. We all got to drive on the same roads. We're going to the same places. Like we can't, we don't have the luxury to do some of this gamesmanship. Like we got to,
Get the work done.
yeah, that's
Hmm.
it. So I think that is certainly all of that. If I had to tie it together, kind of led me to do that.
I think that's
Um,
great.
yeah.
And knowing that you have all these experiences
Mhm.
now to kind of lend yourself now into this, was there any concerns about doing this? Whether it's the exposure to like, hey, I'm running for an office, so I don't know that at city council level things get muddy, but maybe they do. I don't know. But were there
Sure, they
concerns for
could.
you?
I don't. I mean, I think it was in some ways. I mean,
Mm.
obviously, you need to like talk it over with family and people that are close to you
Yeah.
and do all that stuff, and at least give them a heads up. Um, and I think for me, it's one of those things where I candidly get like a lot of self worth from helping people, from solving problems and doing that. So it's like if there's an opportunity to do that at a broader scale, to help more people, to solve more problems, solve bigger problems, to set up, improve quality of life for folks, to provide more opportunity for people. I don't like. I knew I would regret not doing it or resent anyone that like talked me out of it or anything like that. So I'm having a whole lot of fun with it. Again, I get to do a lot of this stuff is things that I'd be doing anyway, like going to these meetings, talking with people, or asking a small business owner like, hey, like how'd you end up here? What's going on? Like, what are you doing? So for me, it's just kind of yeah, just a little bit more of what I was doing.
That's cool.
Um, yeah, I mean, for me, I'm having a ton of fun with it. You get to meet the most interesting people from all walks of life. You hear so many fascinating stories, and again, you're learning. What makes people tick? What were they expecting that hasn't happened? What do they want that isn't really out there? And it's too good of an opportunity to pass up.
Yeah. And what I mean, you just woke up one day and like hey, there's going to be an open seat available. I'm going to go take it. Or did somebody say like, Rob, you really need to do this? Like,
Yeah, so I mean, there was, I mean, certainly some conversations. There wasn't like, in no way was there like someone came on high and like anointed me, like this is this.
it wasn't a back alley, like tapped you on the shoulder,
No,
guys in
no,
black
no. But
suits.
I did
Okay.
have some people, and this I won't drop any names, but that were like, yeah, you should think about it, or I
Hmm.
think you'd be good. I think you'd bring something good to the table.
Yeah.
People that I respect, people that I look up to, mentors, those people that have done it or similar stuff. Um, so that obviously gave me some stuff, and then honestly, it was really just like the proof of work of like the people that I worked with the closest within the community, and whether it's residents or small business owners or even folks from other communities that
Yeah.
I've been able to engage with. That, um, so yeah, no, that's a good idea. Like you should give this a shot.
And
Um,
you were
yeah,
open to it. You're
yeah.
like, you know what? Actually, this is
Yeah.
something
Well,
I
I mean, I
think.
think, I mean, like you kind of pointed out, it does seem like I've got a propensity for openness
Yes.
to an opportunity, and yeah, I mean, if I can serve and help more people, like why would I pass it up?
Yeah. And you're already doing it.
Yeah,
That's the cool thing, is that
yeah,
you're already doing it in some semblance. Now it's just going to be more formalized and directed in your community.
sure,
I mean, obviously with the Melrose Community
yeah,
Alliance stuff, your work there already, I think, has set you up perfectly to step into this next, evolution of
sure,
your career
yeah.
helping people, which is super rad.
Well, and I think another thing I love to say is like in times of chaos and uncertainty, of which that seems to be the one thing that everyone could agree on,
Yes.
regardless of where you fall on any
Yes.
spectrum. That's exactly the time that you double down on community building, community resiliency, and really local solutions.
Yeah.
So you weather the storm and actually set yourself up for what comes next.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, yeah, a lot of it just comes down to people.
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I love that you have a passion for it, and I can get that from you. And I'm also thinking about when I'm in my community or well beyond, right? The leadership of our cities, our states, that kind of thing. I I'm inclined to have people who want to be there and
Mm.
try to be effective in change. And honestly, Rob, I can't think of anybody
Mm.
I would want more in that type of role than
Well, I
you.
appreciate that.
So, and I'm not even in that district,
Yeah.
but I think it's phenomenal that we have people like you that are stepping in
Yeah.
to do this work, and it's really cool, man.
Mm.
So kudos to you for
I
doing
appreciate
it.
that. Yeah.
What's it like as far as getting started for anybody out there who's like, oh man, like I want to be effective in change and I want to make a difference or I want to try to impact something in my community. I mean, at this level with Phoenix, City
Sure.
Council, you have to have a campaign manager. You're printing off, billboards and showing up and,
Haven't done the
shaking hands,
billboards yet.
kissing babies type
Yeah.
of thing. Like, is that
Yeah,
all
yeah, no,
true?
I mean, I mean, we have a pretty professional team.
Awesome.
I kind of going through the process. You meet with people, you see what fits, if it works. So have consultants, staff, that kind of stuff, and then a lot of volunteers. Ultimately, it's going to take. Are you able to inspire people to want to get out there for you and knock on doors and hand things out and walk around when it's 137 degrees and all of that stuff. So yeah, I mean, it certainly is a process, and there's a lot that goes into it. I'm sure someone can probably do it, kind of bare bones and bootstrap it.
Sure.
But yeah, no, it takes some work. So don't have much in the way of free time.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I like I said, and it is genuine. Like I enjoy doing this stuff, connecting with people, and getting out there,
Yeah.
seeing what's going on, what they care about, the issues they bring up, all that stuff. Um, and yeah, I mean, community is just such a powerful thing. I think that's something, again, to kind of tie in some of the technology, like I said before, it's become so prevalent and all that like there's such a desire and a yearning to get people together. Whether again they're able to articulate that or not, they want it. Like
Yes.
they want to be around people. So I think it's like you don't overthink it. And like you could take over the world tomorrow. Just like where do you start? Like if you want to get connected, like grab coffee with a neighbor. Like help with a cleanup, go to an event, and like it seems simple and mundane or even like a throwaway. But I'm a firm believer that like community, I mean, really culture, society, like you can't scale it. It's a contagion effect. And that's either it's going bad or good.
Yeah.
You could either be sick or healthy, that type of stuff. And I think it's a lot of the work that happens is, again, it's one conversation at a time. It's one, hey, here's a T-shirt with neighborhood pride. Like it's one of those, and then from there, I mean, you can't see it happening from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16 to 32 to 64. But eventually, it's like, oh wow, like this is like we've actually like built something overnight or seemingly overnight.
Yes.
But you don't really see all the things that go into it.
Yeah. To your point about Steve Jobs and connecting those dots, right?
Yeah.
You go back and you look and like, oh, that was the trajectory that we took.
Yeah, one of my favorite stories that I love to tell about community, just because not a lot of people know this. Have you ever heard of Roseto, Pennsylvania?
No.
Okay. You would have no reason to. So flashback to like the 1950s, heart disease was like epidemic. And in some ways, it was a good thing. It was post-World War II. People were living past 60,
Right.
Which was good. But now they were developing heart disease. And so there's a lot of studies and a lot of concern about, well, how do we prevent it?
Yeah.
How do we cure it? How do we help people? And one of the top researchers is this doctor. I think he was out of like Oklahoma or so. And then there was a guy from Eastern Pennsylvania who was a physician. And he was like, hey, like, you got to come out and like study this town, small town. It's about 2,000 or 3,000 people. And he was like, yeah, they're immune to heart disease. It's pretty much in between Philly and Scranton. It's kind of on the eastern part of Pennsylvania. So like any good researcher, it's like, well, that's fascinating. Let's go check that out. So it brings out his team. They fly out to Roseto. It turns out it was a community of mostly first and second generation immigrants from Italy. And so they're going through all the questions. Okay, what are you eating? Again, they're Italian, so they're eating all the good food that's not necessarily good for the pasta,
Okay,
the pizza,
sure.
the drinking the wine, all the delicious stuff. So they're okay. Well, that's not it. Then they were looking at some of the environmental factors. Like, well, these people are breathing the same air as people in Philly and Scranton, and a lot of these guys are in coal mines or factories or they're smokers, all of that stuff. So they're okay, that could have been it. And they're kind of going down the list, and then they realize how connected people feel or seem. And then again, in the small town, there's like 200 social organizations and clubs, of which everyone seems to be a member of something, and most of them are members of most things. And eventually, what they conclude is that social cohesion, community, is a health protectorate. So it would literally add years to your life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So a more modern example that people used to like to highlight is like blue zones. Similar kind of concept. Except they probably check a lot of the other boxes.
Sure.
But yeah, so I mean, it's just that feeling of community and you know that people are looking out for you and people are there for you. Is just super I mean, literally powerful. Not only does it add years to your life, but it adds life to your years too.
Yes. Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, everybody like feels that when they walk into a local coffee shop and like somebody knows their name.
Yes.
It's like the whole Cheers thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just makes you feel, especially in a chaotic world, like there's some rootedness.
I like that. I like that. I think that's I think we're all trying to seek that, right?
Yeah.
And especially in
whatever that looks like to you. Yeah.
No, I think that's well said, and absolutely, I think it's important. And what I'm seeing you do now is you're bringing these people together. You're hosting networking events and all of these things, which are really cool. In not even in addition to just what you're trying to do in campaigning and trying to help get into this position, but at the core, you're just trying to bring people together and build a community and then solving those problems, which is freaking cool, man. Rob, I want to give you. Is there anything that you want to shout out or in regards to to what you're doing right now with the campaign, or do you want to just?
No, I mean we can. I mean we're pretty active, getting out there. We're hosting events. The website is now a good time to kind of like
absolutely
handles and stuff. So it's just Robb, ROBB. It's Rob with 2 B's, So Rob for the number 4 phx.com. You can go there, check that out. And then our Instagram's fairly active, and that's same Rob for PHX. You can follow us there. Between those two, you'll be able to get a lot of the information about what we're doing, what we're up to. And yeah, feel free to reach out. Would love to hear from anyone that wants to talk and have a conversation, whether you're in the district or not. Like, certainly want to connect with as many people as possible.
I like that. Okay, well, we'll drop that in the description.
Cool.
Sure. So we'll have the website and all the social handles. So please go support Rob in this journey, which I think is phenomenal, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
When is the election?
It's November.
November.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So we got a little bit of time.
Yeah, you got lots of time, but it's gonna go by quick, man.
Yeah,
I mean, we're already in February.
I know, it's insane.
It is insane, man. I want to ask you one final question before we wrap up here, and this is a question that I ask all my guests. So take a moment if you need to.
This time really flew.
Yeah, man, it goes by so fast.
Yeah.
We just keep talking. And hey, we might have to do another episode. I say that with everybody, and now that I'm getting back to the podcast again, I think this year I definitely want to have some returning guests, and I would love to maybe have you back right before maybe November, so we can chat, because I have so many more questions for you.
This is fun. I mean, I loved it. Yeah,
but I do appreciate you being here. Final question, Rob. What to you makes a person legendary?
Yeah, I think. Have you read the book The Alchemist? Or
I'm familiar with it. Mm-hmm.
It's phenomenal. Everyone should read it. That is a really, really good book. But it's all. I mean, it's kind of that hero's journey, and we're all on a different journey. And I mean, within that book, I think the phrase that Paulo Coelho uses is like following your personal legend, which is interesting. He uses the term legend. Sure. But it's, I think you know it, you're on the right path when you feel it. Like I think, and maybe this has bled through with the conversation, but there's a lot of intuition, or intuition probably sounds too woo-woo, but I don't know. I do really feel that gut feelings are real, and you know when you're doing the right stuff or not, and staying true to who you are. And I think that's the most important thing. I mean, in some ways, and I'm probably stealing this from someone, but it's growing up is unlearning what you learned when you were younger and being more of who you are, and just being true to yourself. And I think that's pretty legendary, whatever that is. And pursuing things and trying things. I think oftentimes people are, whether it's fearful or of rejection or judgment or all, I mean, those are real things. I feel those too. But I think that stops a lot of people from actually trying something, out of fear of, well, what if I don't get it? But I mean, the reality is, like, and I think this is on like every other elementary school classroom wall, where it's like, shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you land among the stars. Like that type of thing. Like what you're going to learn and grow and get and move towards, and the people you're going to meet from whatever experience you undertake, even if you fall short of whatever your goal is, you're going to be in a much better place than where you started off from. So it's a very roundabout way of saying, I don't know if it got to what's legendary. But,
well said. No, I think, just being true to yourself and following your path is really a tight summation of what you said, but
a lot of times it's more art than science.
Yes.
And I think the art part is knowing what opportunities and what things to say yes to and what not to. And I think that's the kind of inner kind of dialogue and work that we all have to do as individuals.
I agree. Yeah. No, well said, man. I appreciate you, Rob, man.
I appreciate you.
Bar none, you are one of the coolest guys I've ever met, in just the humblest ways too, which is super cool. I mean, you're doing a lot of big things for sure, but at the end of the day, you know, you're just a guy out there trying to make a difference, and I think that's mega legendary, and that's why I had you on the podcast.
I appreciate that, brother.
Well, thanks so much again, Rob. For sure, guys, please go support Rob. Like I said, all of the links are down in the description. So, please do yourself a favor. Go check him out, see what he's up to. You got lots of time to see all of the cool things that Rob's going to get into. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been a Legends of Zegen podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We got lots more to come, but don't forget to be legendary and stay legendary. We'll see you guys.